Okay. Recording, yes. Okay, so hi everyone. Let me share my screen with the cycle announcement. Please tell me if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yep.
Great. So the agenda for this will be the cycle announcement. So cycle. So I would start differently. So first, you know, with all the transition that we did or the restructuring of the company, basically we have now a new team that is joining here, which is Tsarfati's team, the solutions. Tsarfati is an Arturo. They will present from next cycle. So not now, but we welcome them and hope that from the next cycle they will join us in a proper way. About Cycle V, so as you all know, we are now focusing on releasing Quick Brick Mobile. And the first two candidates are TV1 and TV1. Basically, we define the task and the priority based on that. And the first team that will present is the frameworks. So please.
Right. Okay. Do you want to get screen sharing, Francois?
Yes. That's the one. Everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So we'll be using the app to demo what we're delivering this cycle. Quick recap on this screen. If you remember from the last cycle, this is a horizontal. It was the only component and only cell style we had at the end of the last cycle. So horizontal list component using PowerCell 1. And yeah, that's normally my trick, keep launching the player on Android. But it did start to show the power of what a PowerCell could do, because you could configure it as that great big single image at the top. You could have nice circular ones. You could have cover flow art for movies. You can have the classic. So PowerCell 1 is ultimately what we'll describe as an image sat above the text. So if you do want text there, the text lines are down below. We've got snapping in there, we've got fit to width, but that was all last cycle. It was the only component we had. So if you want to go to the menu then, Francois, please.
I follow the order, right?
Yeah. It's a bit of a lag coming on screen. So you saw from the menu.
I have a horrible bandwidth, so.
Yeah, that's okay. You'll see. Just let it populate. You saw from the menu, hopefully, as it flashed through there. So we've delivered grid. Grid is both a component and a new, user cell style 1, logically. So the grid you can set up. Just want to go back to the view without the menu, please. Okay, so the grid you can set up as a component and define the number of columns in the grid, which is lovely. So you see you've got a column with a grid with 3 on the left there on the Android, and just flash through there on the iOS. One in the middle with set to 4. If you have overflow, we haven't got it demoing there, but if you've got an overflow in the use your mouse, not the key, the touchpad, I normally find helps.
Yeah.
If you have an overflow, on the grid, it will just append them on the end as the same size. But we've just for starting sake, we've truncated them there to fit the equal number of rows. And if you want to do the classic with PowerCell 1 again with the text below, so different uses of PowerCell 1 in a grid. I guess you could also use the circular ones in a grid. It'd be an interesting arrangement. And you can configure the grid with padding, margins, etc. So you can control the spacings. The other important thing, that I haven't mentioned, is that we've also delivered a thing called the theme component, which is a plugin. And If you do not set any values in a component, whatever the component is, it will draw them from the theme. So you can start your app with something sensible and it will render nicely. And then you can override them per individual component if you want to. But if you haven't set the values in a component, it will draw them from the theme setting in the plugin. And that theme setting is also at runtime. You don't have to rebuild it if you want to reconfigure the settings. Now, at the moment, it's just controlling paddings and margins, etc. As that theme matures over time, over different cycles, we can start to pull in other things like SDK keys for styling and other elements.
We also have the app background color and the
Yes.
status bar that you can also skim through the theme today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Next menu item is list. So as well as another component, so here's the third component. It's got another cell style. So cell style 2, PowerCell 2 is image alongside text. For creating nice vertical lists. So same feeds you can see there. And down the bottom, if you choose not to assign the image, then it will push the text over to the left. You can have the action button on the right assigned, so the icon. So if you click on any of those cells, it's going to launch the item. And again, same configurations of background color, spacing, margins, etc.
Just one clarification, we created this new cell style specifically for the list, but it can be used in other components, and you can also use the other cell styles in the list as well.
Okay, so that's list and cell style 2, and then back on the menu. Next one, hero and cell style 3. So whilst you saw on the home screen, the first screen, you can actually create a hero out of, or a hero's type cell out of PowerCell 1. This is something more optimized to the use. So PowerCell 3 is effectively text over an image, so image or image behind text, whichever way you want to look at it. And you can see some different styles once they get on the screen. Well, it's the same image, but you've got one filling the complete screen size there, so a very large hero looking nice, and then some smaller ones. And all these you can add the same badging and runtime over the top. Configure the text, colors, sizes, fonts.
You could actually see also that this cell 3 style has an overlay there to basically allow the text to be more readable, right? I'm just going to show because it's more obvious on iOS. The reason we did this, so it was a very simple component, but like you can achieve it with the Rails, but like if it's a Rails with one item, you can scroll it and move it, which may not be what you want. If you use the hero component for that, then basically, you know, it's like a proper hero component. It doesn't move horizontally when you're using it. Right.
Yeah. Are you still on copper out there?
I think so.
Or maybe even string.
Yeah.
Okay. So great. We've now got in total. We got horizontal as components. We got horizontal list, grid, hero, and we've got cell styles to mix and match. Power cells to mix and match within. Sorry, I call them cell styles. Power cells to mix and match within that. Use as appropriate. So the next thing is group component. It might be worth, have you got some UI builder that you can quickly flash up alongside there to show how this is constructed? Thanks. So this is
thanks to the CMS team, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a much easier way now to generate a group components within the screen. So we've got a plugin which you assign. to the screen. Okay, thank you. So the group component. You attach a feed to it. You've got some global stylings on that component which you can use. And then you can add either any of your existing components, hero, grid list, etc., and another one which is called the group info component. So that's also got its own cell style related to it, and that will effectively, you can use for a header, a footer, or if you don't attach, if it's not attached to any particular feed, you can just use it as a straightforward styling element and a separator, a line separator between individual components. So if you see the way the screen's constructed, we've got...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we've got a group info at the top, we've then got a hero, we've got another group info, and then...
The same logic applies. So basically, we don't have all the repeat patterns yet in our group, but we have the same main logic, which is like you assign one feed to the group. The metadata of the feed will go into the group info components there, and the entries in the feed will fill up the components up to their item limits, and the last one will take whatever's remaining, right? And we don't have the repeat patterns just yet, but this is something that we can add at a later stage.
Shall we go and look at that on the device?
Right. Do you see it?
Yep, there you see the group info components at the top. So it's taking its title from the feed. It's connectable. So actually, if you hit that, it's going to launch another page. I can't remember which one it's connected to for the demo, but it's a connectable. There you go. So you can go back. You've got the back arrow there. We've got the hero below it, and what will be very, very hard to see on your screen is that the group info components uses a styling element between. So we've got the hero with 1, we've got the list with 2, and between them there is actually a white line, but it's about 1 pixel wide, I think, so a bit hard to see. And then there's the grid at the bottom with 2 components. So a single feed is distributed. Its metadata is going into the title at the top in the first component. The feeds are the individual video items are getting distributed across the 3 different components, and you can style those as you wish.
Yeah. So that's it for this cycle mainly. So the theme, grid list hero components, and the new cell style that go along with it, which are pretty powerful and allow you to do a lot of stuff. Like basically the preferred way to assign headers to components now is to use the group and the group info, right? Because you have a lot more control over how you can style and skin with the group info component. You have a lot more flexibility to put a title alone, to put a badge before it, to put a button at the end, a background color, all the settings you want for the fonts and everything like that. It's much more flexible and much more powerful to use it this way, right? So, yeah. That's it.
Great.
Is there anything else you guys want to see, or any other questions or things like that?
I have 2 questions. One, the hero component, it's a 1 item component, right? It's not
right.
Yes. So it will take the first entry in the feed, right? We keep the same structure as we have with our other components, but even if you don't put an item limit of 1 and your feed has several items, it will just take the first entry no matter what.
So you could create a group of hero components and distribute a feed across them.
Yeah.
Got it. And the second question is, can you share the app afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah, you can download it from Zapp. We'll share the links in the channel once the demo is finished.
And it's got all the same stuff it's got all the tabs from last time, and all the screens have been updated, so they use the latest stylings, latest components. Search screen's been updated to use it all, so it's a nice, thank you very much, John. It's a nice standalone demoable app for all the features. John spent a lot of time, or rather, should I say, a short amount of time with one hell of amount of work in the past few hours.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the group component. You showed the group info component, and we're saying that it's still taking the content from the entry. So this is an entry.
No. It takes the group info takes the metadata of the feed. The hero takes an entry, but the group info component takes the metadata of the feed you assign to the group.
So what happens? Let's say I have 5 items in the feed, 5 entries, yeah. And after 2 entries, I want to put another header, and I want it to have a different text. Is this possible, or will it always take the general metadata of the feed?
So this group info will always take the metadata of the feed, but I think so. You can put more of them, right? Like we have right now, and they can be just decorative elements. If you want a different text, let me check in the cell style because I don't remember if we did this in this iteration.
Go to cell 3. Sorry.
Cell info.
Cell info. Yeah.
So on the text label, no, so in this iteration is going to take the title of the feed, but this is something that we can add later on to either pick another property or put like an arbitrary text there instead. And that's how you could achieve what you're talking about, basically.
Yeah, so next cycle, we've got a task to enable building an EPG with everything that you see there. There's nothing special going to be done, but we're going to do a free-form entry so that you can, where you can assign a title or extension or anything. You could select other and then type in what part of the metadata you want to load into that component. So then,
the other option is to build multiple groups.
Yeah.
The other option is to build multiple groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't support yet the repeat pattern.
Okay.
No.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No more. I think the main thing from that, no more feeder feeds. Yeah.
No, it's for a different thing.
For different things, yeah. For connected screen
for
and
the EPG, we need.
Yeah, sorry, for the groups though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there it is. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the team. It was a tough 2 weeks, but yeah, got the nice output there and a nice iteration and what we showed last time, I think. So thanks to all of them.
Yeah, very nice. Do you want to share a few, like you also dealt with ongoing stuff in the TV that you want to share, like a few words about it, maybe? Just to let
so our main focus has been mobile. So we didn't do a lot of new features on TV, but we have been working quite a lot on solving an issue we have mostly on Android TV, which is related to performance. And we're polishing that. We're not completely done just yet, but this looks very promising, right? Like currently on Android TV, if you have a screen that is very busy, and even if you don't have a screen very busy, then the interaction with the app is a bit sluggish because we had to debounce the key interaction. So there's like a 90 or 100 millisecond wait every time you push a key to wait for another key press to be handled. And with the work that we've been doing, we've been able to remove that restriction. And now the app is loads faster, navigates faster, and overall feels a lot more responsive. But we don't have anything to show about this today on this task. This is work that we've been doing, and we hope we're going to be able to release this very soon.
Cool, very nice work.
Thank you very much. The next team to present, let me open the cycle, will be the platforms. So Anton, Alex, and Alex.
Give me a second, I'll show my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I will tell one by one what we did, and in some interesting point we'll stop and ask guys to explain what happened. So first our task was the most important was Apple provider SSO plugin. Currently, Applicaster is trying to become Apple partner, and this one of the plugin that was required that we should do for the requirement. Alex, if you want, you can explain more about it.
Yes, I can explain. So this plugin is supposed to connect to a specific TV provider and let the user on the device to see the content, to see the videos that are presented on the app. So it is connecting to the provider that exists on the device and getting the authorization to use the content of this specific provider. We can show the video. Anton, please turn it on. So when the user is clicking on the VOD item, it is actually asking him to authorize to the specific TV provider that installed on the device. And when this step is complete, it is actually can play. Otherwise, it will go back to the list of the items and will not continue to present the content.
I also want to add that this plugin was created as a quick brick hook plugin on a player. So it can be used out of box without any additional work from React Native side. Okay, next task, what we did was implementation local notification support. It was done for both platform iOS and Android, and was also implemented React Native bridge. So it can be used for next task of framework team for EPG screen. So generally what we have here, we have pretty simple API. We implement this plugin can be used from native side also, React Native. So I can share later documentation itself with API on what to do. But generally from React Native and native, we need to pass some payload with parameters that we have in local notification. Currently we support title, body text, unit timestamp when we want to fire local notification. If timestamp is empty, we request them to call local notification immediately after request. We have default action and dismiss action. Generally, this default buttons, so let's say you push notification, local notification itself, will be handled default action URL. And if you dismiss, push X button or clear will be called dismiss action URL. In URL, you can provide standard URL scheme to your application that you expect to invoke after local notification will be pushed by the user. Also, we have ability to set up actions. So it's a buttons that added inside push local notification. It has title, same URL, and button type. It can be default or danger. Danger is if you want to do some destructive call, so it will show like a red. I also provide image attachments. So what we can do, we can just add image. If we have different image for iOS and for Android, we have field to override it. So let me show you just how it looks so far. So this is iOS. Coronavirus. And the second example, how to open a video with URL scheme. And Android. Okay, so next, then we added support of URL schemes, the table to switch Zapp layout based on QR code. This was implemented for both platforms. This same option like was in a legacy SDK. Here we have preview on device. So here you see QR code. With your phone, you use this QR code. And we send to QuickBrick some URL scheme request, and QuickBrick handler will try to present a new layout if it exists. If it's not, it will just move to home screen as a default behavior for URL scheme if it's failed. So let me show some example. So as you can see, we load absolutely different layout. Okay, next huge addition, I think it was significant improvement of Android SDK infrastructure. So build became faster on CI from 8 minutes to 4, so it's almost 2 times. We removed legacy code that was liquid core, old code, and unsupported libraries. After these changes, we're able to reduce application size around 95 megabytes to 45. 30 megabytes is usually like image resources, and final deliverable without resources is about 10 megabytes. Also, we did some refactor code to make QuickBrick initialization much simpler. Alex, do you want to add something about it?
Well, yeah, I will provide a few words. So the idea of the change is pretty much the same that was done on Apple long time ago, but Apple started from scratch, but we used a different approach that I have announced on last call actually, that we have split the source code of SDK into legacy and core part. And because core part doesn't have much dependencies and legacy stuff and UI stuff, it's much more compact. So most likely we'll be able to shoot for instant applications for Android that user can run even without installing if we'll use if we work a little bit with art, because right now demo application uses not optimized art. And yeah, build time is significantly better, that it's very good for CI and local developers and everybody who uses it. And we will try to push it a little bit more in the future, I hope, from CI side. So it should be like 3 minutes, not 4. And yeah, what else? Well, yeah, also that Anton did mention, Android have a little bit more customization options on local notifications feature, because Android itself allows it. So you can also provide custom icons, and yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so next task. Currently in App Center, we have some issue. In App Center, we have restriction. So when we use a QR code to present application, they not store a link more than 10 days. So what CMS team tried to do, they tried to generate some QR code that we can use same like App Center provided. So was done this task. Then we did add notification extensions that allow rich push notification service. So here, example. Alex, do you want to say something about it?
It is actually the same implementation as we had on the legacy SDK. It is just to implement this on the QuickBrick number.
Yeah, part of next cycle, again, I still don't know for sure, but part of next cycle maybe will be implementation of notification extensions content. That's another extension type.
Another thing that here it was also implemented for Firebase. in the legacy SDK, we had this implementation for urban airship. And in this example, it is working with Firebase. And they can send the push notifications with images or other content from Firebase console.
So do you think it requires some work to do on urban airship to have the same on QuickBrick?
Not too much, I think. Just to check the compatibility and to update. Maybe need to update the plugin, but not too much.
Okay. Okay, next was done for iOS. We improved a bit local development environment for Firebase. Currently, a local developer need to copy by hands at TSP list. So we try to automatize it so to remove like unnecessary movement from developers as it is development currently in using Firebase. Also was implemented player info plugin, as this was required as part of Universal Search and Apple Partners feature. So this is done and currently in QA. Then we did some implementation of Universal Search. Generally, this task is fully ready, but it's we have some. We're waiting to enable Universal Search feature in our Apple SDK, so we can proceed with this task. On Android was adopted Urban Airship plugin for QuickBrick. Was done migration Glide 4.9 by request of Z5 customer. Was added support of Chromecast plugin on legacy SDK of custom Chromecast plugin, sorry. Also side tasks that we have that take a lot of our time. We did support of framework team, bug fixing ongoing issues and change requests for legacy SDK, and review and merge of cell style families, PRs and related plugin updates. So during this cycle was released SDK on iOS 4.1, SDK 21.0 QA, probably will be released this week, and same with 12.1.0. And on Android, we release SDK 11.3.5. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much for a lot of work, everyone.
Can I ask, is there a place where we can see the specification of the notifications? Because we, in our next cycle, are going to start using that to trigger a reminder on EPG.
Yeah. So
yeah, API already published, so I will provide it.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll share a link.
Thank you, Anton and the team. Next, the CMS. Omer?
Right, so as I said, Shimon will be our presenter for this presentation. Shimon, are you still here?
Can you hear me?
Not very good.
Hello.
So if this is a problem,
I'm having problems here.
we actually see your.
Maybe Omer, you will.
Just tell me. Is it just a?
Maybe Omer, you will do the dubbing.
Yes, I can do the dubbing.
And
I can see the screen, but we cannot hear a lot of what Shimon said.
Okay, so let's start off. Shimon, I hope you heard what Ran said.
And just
okay. If this will not work, I'll share my screen. Okay, so Shimon, I understand you accept the challenge for letting me dub you. So basically, the CMS team, Shimon and Yuli, developed, created support for new requirements for the group component for QuickBrick, and actually made some groundwork also on the group component, or the native group component. So what we had before, nice, actually it's the first time I see this presentation. So we had a single group component, which was identified in a strange way by the CMS. It had limited features, and it was, okay, this is the hard-coded behavior in the UI builder. Now, any UI component, see how exactly it's done, any UI components that developers create can declare themselves whether they are group components, and also whether they can be added to screens or groups, or both, or these are all the options, basically. So let's see the manifest, how it looks like. Basically, all documentation is already in place. You can find it in your...
Yes, sorry, I want to add. So the way that every component now declarative, and the component declares if she can be inside screen or inside group or inside screen and group. So also today we did a fix if any of components doesn't have a characteristic attribute on them in the manifest. So it will be shown in the UI builder as non-group component that can appear inside screen and inside group. Okay, so group info, yes.
Showing the example here of the, okay, we passed to the documentation. Shimon, can you hear me? Check with him. Okay, now we can see it's already in the documentation, UI component characteristics. This is the bracket that Yuli referred to.
Yes, I can.
Shimon, we can't hear you. You sound very robotic. So maybe...
Hear you all.
No, Shimon. Okay, so let me get back into dubbing Shimon. So Shimon, can you return to the documentation? Maybe we should show the way it is constructed. Just a sec.
Be Omer, it's better if you or Yuli will.
So for example, you can see inside the...
No, Omer, please, let's either you or Yuli, I think it would be better.
I'm trying, just a second. I'm on top of it. And okay, so Shimon, I don't know if you can hear me now, but we couldn't hear you before. So let me show this. Just a second.
I will send you the link comment.
No, it's okay. What, the documentation?
Yes.
I think I have it already opened here. So this is the documentation. My screen is visible. You can see it already?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the new characteristic bracket looks like this. We have an indication, a declaration whether this UI component is a group. So it will behave as a group. And another attribute here that declares whether the UI component can be added to screens, to groups, or to both. To existing UI components that the default is group equals false, and they can appear in both screens and groups until they're declared differently. So let's look at a few examples here. A group component is declared like this. It is true, it is a group, and it can be added only to screens. So you can't add a group to a group. General UI component is not a group, so group equals false, and it can be added to both group and screens. UI components that can be added into group only, like the header and the footer and that Francois David showed before, and the group info that we have right now. So these are group equals false and appearance is group, meaning they can be added only in groups. Okay, and Shimon, you wanted to show something in Zapp before? Or you wanted to show, sorry, I can guess what you wanted to show, probably the plugin manifest. So basically this is already implemented. We can check the new quick brick group that we saw in the previous demonstration. You can check out its manifest. So where is it? Am I missing something? Oh, okay, it's here. So this is a group component that we saw before. We can see that it's, oh, this is something is false. It's not right here. It was.
Oh, this is is this the group info? Info is just like the decorative element.
Yeah, that
is the group.
Okay. Yeah. You want the other plugin?
Okay, so it's not a group, right? And it can be added only to a group. So my mistake, but. So I think this is it for the...
Omer, can you show what it gives to set a component as a group? Like, why should I mark my component as a group?
Sure. So the reason to group components, just a second, get into my... Do you mean why would we want to group components?
Basically, when we set a group, it gives us the ability to nest component under it. That's the main thing. That's the important part. Basically, it gives us a decorator component that under it you can have a list of components. So on one hand, it gives you in the UI the flexibility to add another nested level of components, and the other, and then in the end of the day, to being translated to the API that allows you to get a list of components within one group component. The idea that it gives you like a container that can get one data source and then distribute it inside based on the different components. That's the idea. The group info is just a component that is usable inside the group.
Is it possible to add, instead of the normal components, to add like a screen components inside? We could use it then, if it's possible to add the screens, we could use it to create the tabs component, which could link to another screen for different tab.
Basically, it's based on what you will implement as a plugin developer. So let's say that you declare a screen plugin that is possible to be, which is just like a full screen component that will declare itself as that it could be added under group, and the UI builder will allow it. It just cannot be screen. It should be declared as a UI component.
Oh, okay. Then it makes sense.
All right. So the next thing I'm going to display is a new management feature that we added to the CMS. And this is the app family's purposes. So there's a very specific role, a global role that is exposed and can use this feature. And basically, this is for supposed to help us scale up and manage, understand the purpose of app families. We have many app families, and we don't always know what they're there for. For instance, if I will search for the keyword can, I can see that there are a couple, five different can apps app families. And I can guess that, so basically I don't have information which one is which. We have many demo applications, sales and experiments in the system, and we don't have any way to limit commercial use of them. So this is the main problem that this feature is here to solve, and it's the limitation of commercial usage of non-contract apps. So let me get back to my Omer TV application. So this is basically an application that was created, just a second, cable in. Right, okay. So this application is my very own experimentation application. But there's nothing that restricts me from making commercial use of it. I promise I won't, but there's nothing enforcing me to create sorry, right now there is. Okay, but basically I could create release builds for my app, even if it was created for a demo. So right now, when I'm entering the edit app panel, I can see a screen. I can see that this application is for demo purposes. That means that I'm limited with the builds I can make with it. I can create only. This is a bug we should fix there. So I can basically make only debug builds out of it. So right now we have, in the system, we have 5 purposes. All the applications are right now mapped into unknown. I mean, this is the migration point here. All applications are right now in unknown purpose mode. That means that the users that will enter this edit app screen will not see purpose equals unknown. They will see nothing in the same area. And they're not, right now, they're not limited for anything. They can continue working as usual. And basically, we can enter and change their purpose. If they're archived, we can change applications into archived. Let's work with mine. So if I'm changing my application into archived, I will not be able to create any kind of build. Refresh this, so I cannot build archived applications. If I'm changing this to demo and experiment, can create debug only, and contract and unknown can create both, can create release versions and debug versions. We have another field here that can hold a URL string for an external lead management or some kind of sales-oriented CRM, of an Applicaster CRM. And that's it. Basically, this is the feature. It should allow Applicaster controllers to map applications, to make some cleanup, to remove applications that are not required anymore, to archive them, and also to restrict demo applications that maybe could be hand over to potential prospects to allow them, to limit them from making commercial use of the demo applications. And that's about it.
Right. Also, it will help us to track real apps in terms of what features they are using. Now like the amount of data that we get from all the types of apps that we are using. So we don't know if, let's say, we want to see if a plugin is being used, and if we see it's only an experiment, so we can say it's not being used in real production apps. And now we will be able to track better our features that are really being used by leads and contracts.
Great, thank you.
So,
Boaz is here.
so great work, Shimon and Yuli. Really.
Yeah, also you dealt a lot with incoming issues, so thanks a lot for the effort with like juggling between the new features and the incoming issues. Thank you. Boaz, you want to jump?
Yeah, I'm looking for the present button. Where is it?
Down. There's a share with the green share with an arrow.
Ah, there it is. Okay. Oh my God. It asked me about the system preferences. Sorry, 1 second.
How come you are not expert in Zoom in these times? I know everything about this. I can make wonders with it.
Because we've been using Slack and Hangouts.
Actually, sharing a screen is not like the common thing to do. The answer is always the bottom left button.
Okay, I was quick enough.
Pavel's an expert.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
you can
background. Yeah, you can change it.
Okay. You can see my screen, correct, guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So first of all, what I'm going to present actually reflects all the work that was done by the whole QA guys, which means it's myself, it's Reut, and Jenny, who just joined the team a few weeks ago. So we had quite a challenging cycle also in the QA. Let's start from the manual stuff that we were doing. So in parallel to what was done on the development side, we managed to create a test plan for the features that we created in Zapp. And when I'm saying test plan, it means that it includes writing the tests, uploading them to TestRail, testing the feature itself, and of course, having the full integration end-to-end of the new feature to our QA apps. So the feature we have attachment for is a search, list, grid, the QuickBrick native player for the mobile, navigation bar. I'm referring to the mobile one. Also, we had testing on the file-based push notification for mobile and PowerShell 1 and theme plugin. It looks like, but there is a lot behind it. It starts from integration stuff and solving during integration. We also find problems that coming end to end, the problems that you see when on the end to end side. Until testing it and having testing TestRail for having it stable for the next SDKs. Second thing we had 3 SDK cycles. Anton mentioned some of them. Was the Android the 11.3.5, which mainly is using by Z with specifications for Z. We had the iOS 14.1.1. By the way, I don't remember when was the last time, but this iOS SDK includes bug fixing, took us for the first time, at least from my experience in Applicaster, it took us less than a week to start testing and to release it. So it was quite amazing. And in addition to that, for the first time again, we had a full cycle for the QuickBrick that include all the platforms from TV to mobile. I mean, all the TVs, 5 platforms include the 2 mobile ones, which is the Android and the iOS. Okay, on the automation side, we had in this cycle, the main effort was dealing in CI work for the apps. We were adding two jobs to the jobs that we have today. Where I'm reminding, we have today in CI, we had 3 jobs for tvOS, Samsung TV, and Android TV. We have jobs that after every new change that coming into the QuickBooks repository, we are running a suite of tests that testing the changes of the developer with the changes, testing the changes of the developer. In UI, I mean, a real simulator is opening and tests are running inside it. So what we did in this cycle, we added another 2 jobs, which is for Android mobile and Android QuickBooks mobile and iOS QuickBooks mobile. And today, it looks like that. Okay, this is a pull request that was, this is the procedure that is running for pull requests into QuickBooks repository. And you can see besides the Samsung, Android, and tvOS, you can see another 2 jobs for the iOS and the Android mobile. For the beginning, there is only 1 test that opening there, and the test is reaching to the home screen and just verify that the app got to home screen, and that's for the start. We'll see that it's stable enough and reliable, and once it will be it, we'll add more tests there. So the whole job includes, of course, logging and artifacts as usual. That includes snapshots and logs and the needed stuff. The needed stuff for debugging if there is some failure. Okay, so that's about these. And for the future, the second thing that I did was for the future. In some point, we won't be able to add as much as we want tests that are running on every pull request. So the plan for the future is to have what we call a daily run. That this daily run is something that will run in Azure, that we will ask from the procedure, in the same procedure that we are having for the pull request. We'll ask from this procedure to add a certain suite of test tags, and that's what's going to do. It just you will it's going to be really easy to give an input to the procedure of what test you want to run, and the procedure will take those test names and run them. And that's it basically.
So boss, basically now we have infrastructure set for all the platforms, right? We have
Samsung, which reflecting also LG, and Android TV, which reflecting the Amazon Fire TV. Yeah.
Nice, very good. It's super important, really. It's the only way really for us to be able to scale in testing. Otherwise, there is really no chance that the manual could cover it. So we are ahead of our time. So I want to thank everybody for this cycle, which was strange because of the situation. So I think that the accomplishments are great, and we fulfill most of our objectives. And really, thank you very much, everybody, for the hard work. I know how complicated it is with the kids at home and not the real office that we are used to. And good luck, and enjoy the rest of the week.
I just want to say one more thing. For the next cycle, we were going to change a bit the cycle announcements. All the companies moving to Monday, so it will be a bit different, the cycle announcement. It's not a big deal. I just want to let you know when I send the announcement that it's a bit different. I will write a few words about what is changed in the announcement. You'll get it asynchronously, but just so you know, it will be a bit different. That's my side. Great work, guys.
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
everybody.
This was amazing.
Sorry, I jumped on someone.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying this was amazing to see. I don't get to see it on a regular basis. And the leap forward in such a short period of time is phenomenal. And I'm really excited for us to start bringing other teams into this so they can get excited.
Great. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep safe, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.